That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black.
Keep following the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time, my best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days and midnight marauders, even through charges and days of darkness. No, we in the hands of the greatest artists. I see it in the waters, I see it in our daughters. They could be bridges that know no borders. For so long, them folk try to ignore us. When we at the ballot box, it's a vote for us. Peace to Stacey and the people of Georgia, who galvanized so that we can move forward. Steps are ordered with the presence of mind. Everything's more beautiful in time.
Shine, flies, no time.
Happy Juneteenth! Happy Juneteenth! You're listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm your host and White House correspondent, coming to you from our nation's capital on this beautiful Juneteenth. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. All you got to do is type in Dr. Nii-Q. That's DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app and tell your neighbor to download the KBLA app. If you are wherever you are, tell the person next to you to download the KBLA app. That way they'll always be in touch. Last but not least, subscribe to a More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never miss an episode. And talk about not missing anything. KBLA Talk 1580, our climate justice and Black Health Symposium will air on C-SPAN now, and stream on cspan.org today at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And it is an action-packed symposium. You'll hear remarks from Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, also Dr. Cornel West and Jesse Jackson Jr., as well as Tennessee State Representative Justin J. Pearson, Representative Sidney Comlager Dove holding it down in Congress, representing folks in South LA and Culver City, and then also Ben Jealous, the former president of NAACP and the current president of the Sierra Club. They are all going to be a part of a very important conversation. For folks out there that think that, somehow Black folks don't care about the environment, they couldn't be more wrong. And if you tune in to C-SPAN, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about if you're picking up what I'm putting down here. Now, listen, it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, Israel reports a direct hit on a hospital by an Iranian missile after targeting a nuclear reactor in Iraq. NBC News is telling us that Trump is weighing his options. The president said that he was still considering a U.S. military strike on Iran's nuclear sites, saying, quote, "I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That was reported by the White House. Meanwhile, as the conflict has entered its 7th day, Israel said it targeted Iran's Ark nuclear reactor and a nuclear weapons development site in Natanz overnight. It said that it would, quote, "increase the intensity of attacks" after an Iranian missile directly hit a hospital in the southern part of the country. Iran said it was aiming for a nearby military complex. Iran's airstrikes have probably set Iran's nuclear program back a few months, according to some sources. But Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, said that Trump's call for the country's surrender was, quote, "threatening and ridiculous," and warned that the U.S. intervention would cause irreparable damage. Israeli strikes have killed at least 639 people in Iran during the week-long conflict, that's as reported by the Associated Press. Israel said its death toll remained at 24, and so a lot of eyes on this because in some ways it feels like Groundhog's Day. Remember the drumbeat to war in Iraq and war in Afghanistan? There are a lot of folks that are encouraging us to remember how we got into those conflicts and how long it took for us to get out of those conflicts. And so in case you're wondering what so many of our fellow Americans think, the Washington Post asked 1,000 Americans if they support U.S. strikes on Iran. And the poll found that Americans opposing U.S. strikes against Iran by a 20 percentage point margin, 45% to 25%, with a sizable 30% saying that they are unsure. 2/3 of Democrats oppose airstrikes against Iran, but Republicans are not as united, with 47% supporting strikes while 24% oppose them and 29% have no opinion. Independents lean against the strikes by about a 2-to-1 margin, with more than 1/3 unsure. And among Trump voters, 46% support airstrikes while 26% are opposed and 28% unsure. And so we're going to keep an eye on this conflict and keep an eye on these numbers in the coming days. But sticking with this story for just one moment, because I think this is an important component, Tulsi Gabbard has reportedly been sidelined in Trump's administration discussions on Israel and Iran. NBC News reporting that the National Intelligence Director, Tulsi Gabbard, who's been an outspoken critic of past U.S. military interventions abroad, she appears to have been falling out of favor with President Trump as he's weighing military actions against Iran. Gabbard allies insist that while there's some White House tension, some of the public blowback is overstated. And none of the people who were interviewed by sources like NBC News expect her to leave the administration as a result of the president's Iran policy, even if that includes direct U.S. involvement. And so, you may be wondering, well, where did this tension start? Apparently, Gabbard's politically perilous position, it burst into the open this week when Trump brushed her back over her testimony to Congress in March. At the time, she said that the U.S. intelligence community, it's very important, she said the U.S. intelligence community did not believe Iran was building a nuclear weapon. A comment that was at odds with Trump's recent public statement about the threat posed by Iran's potential nuclear program. Talk about an inconvenient truth. And that's if, in fact, that is the truth. So she's been sidelined. Think about it. The National Intelligence Director has said that she didn't believe Iran was building a nuclear weapon. And the president says, nope. I think differently. Just saying, that's an important point to have such a major disagreement on, but we'll continue to keep our eye on that as well. Finally, as Trump pledges mass deportations, he's actually creating more undocumented people. Can you believe that? He's pledged to clear the country of people who are illegally here. But the new criteria is expected to significantly expand the pool of undocumented immigrants. So if you're looking for the definition of self-fulfilling prophecy, look no further than Trump's stream of policies that intentionally take legal status away from people. So they go from being documented to undocumented and then are fair game for being deported. That's not me speaking. That's Angela Kelly, who's an advisor at the American Immigration Law Center and a former senior advisor on immigration for the Department of Homeland Security under Biden. That's the game that we're playing here. When we come forward, I'm really looking forward to being in conversation and digging a whole lot deeper with Waikinya Clanton. She is the state director for the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Mississippi state director, that is. I want to get her take on this and see how all this is playing out in the state of Mississippi and across the South. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union this Juneteenth. More when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Coverage varies by plan. View contract and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
Do you own a 2005 or newer vehicle with a manufacturer's warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all? With the cost of living on the rise, Endurance is now offering a low-cost vehicle coverage plan designed to save you thousands off costly vehicle repairs. Get your vehicle protected under this coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. Roadside service, towing, and rental coverage are included. For your free quote, call 800-689-5978. 800-689-5978.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai. I'm really delighted to be back in conversation with Waikinya Clanton. She is a political strategist and Democratic advisor. She's also the Mississippi State Director for the Southern Poverty Law Center. And happy Juneteenth to you, Waikinya.
Happy Juneteenth. Happy Freedom Day.
Happy Freedom Day. Happy Freedom Day. And I just want to say thank you in advance for all the work that you're doing, not just at Southern Poverty Law Center, but all the work that you have done over so many years, defending the freedom of all of us, not some of us, but all of us, defending the safety and security of all of us and not some of us. And that's not disconnected from the ancestors that we're lifting up today and the look back and look forward that we're doing today.
Thank you so much, Nii-Quartelai. You know, I count it not only a privilege, but I count it my responsibility to do the work that I do. I come from a long legacy of freedom fighters. In fact, my great-great-great-grandfather fought in the 52nd Colored Infantry of the Union Army in Mississippi by the chance, you know. And so I take freedom as my birthright. And so because it is my birthright, I also see it as your birthright. And those who look like us and those who don't, we are from a land that should espouse these values and should welcome all of us to actualize our truest selves in this land. And so I see it as my charge to ensure that freedom and justice truly does reign for all.
Well, you know, well spoken. And, you know, like my grandmother used to say, you got to pray with your hands and pray with your feet. And
that's right.
So much of what you have done and so many folks in your lineage have done in Mississippi is exactly that. Pray with your hands and pray with your feet. And so, you know, I want to, you know, talk to you a little bit about, you know, some, you know, news of the day. You know, I take your point in fighting for freedom for all of us and not just some of us. And we know that right now there are some serious efforts to curtail this freedom. We know that President Trump has pledged more mass deportations. He's creating more undocumented folks. And there's something I saw in the news as reported by USA Today about Trump using the National Guard for deportation work, how that could go into uncharted territory. Essentially, you know, he's looking to create a military force that goes around, you know, his authority to be able to federalize the National Guard, which clearly is being challenged in court. What do you make of this latest plot twist in the mass deportation efforts that are only ratcheting up?
You know, it is deeply troubling what we're seeing happen in our country, especially in respects to what's happening with our military. It is not only deeply disrespectful and offensive, it's a misuse of their honor to this country and to this flag that we fly here in America, right? It is deeply offensive, and it is, you know, heinous in the sense that we are supposed to represent democracy, right? And to think that we're using the National Guard, and not we, I should say he is using the National Guard for immigration raids and for deportation. It really does violate the Constitution and constitutional norms, right? Like it is a dangerous precedent that we're setting in this country. This is not proper use of law enforcement. It's not proper use of military. What we're seeing is fear being weaponized in this country. You want to keep us in a state of chaos and frantic and uncertainty. And I think we, the people, must protect our democracy from being destabilized any further, right? Like we have done so much to move our country forward. We've overcome so much as a nation throughout centuries to get us to this place. And it's still not the best place, but it was better than it was the day before. And so this president and his, I don't even want to call it an administration. I think it is a cult that is being used to push an agenda that does not represent all of us, that is not rooted in our safety, our freedom, justice, nor our liberty. And I think we have to push back against that, continue to speak truth to power when it comes to that, and also tap into our own humanity around these crises, right? Because just because it's not happening to us today, it doesn't mean that it won't happen to us tomorrow. What we're seeing is that no one is safe in this country. Right, irrespective of the color of your skin, unless it's white, you don't have safety in this country, and we have to call that out. We have to stand arm in arm against that, and really look to hold people accountable.
Well, when we come forward, I want you to share a little bit about how people on the ground in Mississippi are processing this. We know that folks on the ground in Mississippi know a thing about white supremacy. They know a thing or two about law enforcement run amok. Yeah. They know a thing about a president overstepping their authority or not using their authority to defend the civil and human rights of our fellow Americans. And so I'm really grateful that you're here, especially on Juneteenth. To provide a very valuable perspective. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with Waikinya Clanton. She is a political strategist and Democratic advisor, also the Mississippi State Director for the Southern Poverty Law Center.
The audience is listening, thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Former President Barack Obama says the U.S. is dangerously close to autocracy. Speaking in Connecticut, he warned against normalizing one-person rule and called the current climate inconsistent with democracy.
We start drifting into something that is not consistent with American democracy.
Still, he said he remains hopeful and urged Americans to stay alert and engaged. Organizers of the No Kings protest planned another nationwide demonstration on July 17th, honoring Black civil rights icon John Lewis. Millions joined Saturday's protest against Trump's military parade, which organizers call one of the largest in U.S. history. And the New York City Council is demanding updates on efforts to reduce school segregation. 6 years after passing a diversity law, officials pressed the Education Department on progress, after-school programs, and student internet access. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Slowing on the 5. This is in Griffith Park, southbound leaving the 134. It's a pretty heavy drive all the way to the 605. Also tough into Pasadena. The 210 westbound loading up out of Monrovia, and it's getting worse every time I check. We're seeing delays now all the way from Myrtle to the 134. Also, the 134 eastbound is starting to crowd up from before Figueroa to Orange Grove. This is all due to the FIFA World Cup event at the Rose Bowl happening tonight at 6. Also, there's a Dodger game, so all roads leading into Dodger Stadium will also be busy, including the 2 southbound out of LaSalle Park, getting away from Verdugo Road to the 5.
Waba Grill is an LA original, so we've got to keep it real. And real fresh with our Asian-inspired menu that's grilled to order every time. Download the Waba Rewards app today or order online at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill, keeping it real for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A key component of the Lakers' $10 billion sale to Dodgers owner Mark Walter is that Jeannie Buss, Jerry Buss's daughter, will remain as the team's governor and will continue to run the team. Jeannie Buss will also retain a 15% ownership of the team after the purchase is finalized. Walter agreed to keep Jeannie Buss involved. Buss took over the Lakers after her father passed away in 2013. Jeannie Buss will continue to represent the Lakers at NBA owners meetings and sign off on major personnel decisions. Something to keep an eye on is the status of Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka. Pelinka has had difficulty building a contending team around LeBron James. What if Walter tells Buss it's time for a new voice and a new approach in the GM office? Jeannie has been very loyal to Pelinka. It could be a tough decision for Jeannie if Walter makes that call. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Keep following the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
May 6th was World Asthma Day, and it's a critical time to raise awareness about your asthma. Did you know that Black Americans are approximately 5 times more likely than white Americans to visit the emergency department due to their asthma? Managing your asthma is possible with regular checkups, avoiding known triggers, using prescribed medications correctly, and creating an asthma action plan with your healthcare professional. An action plan is a personalized plan you create with your doctor that shows you what to do and what medications to take to help control your asthma when you're having a hard time breathing or having an asthma attack. Stay aware, have a plan because your health matters. For more tips and resources on managing your asthma, visit luma-edu.com. luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ziprecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter. Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Cortez. She is Waikinya Clanton. She is a political strategist and Democratic advisor, also the Mississippi State Director for the Southern Poverty Law Center. Waikinya, I recently stumbled upon an article published in The Guardian about ICE's inhumane arrest of a well-known vineyard manager that is shaking the Oregon wine industry in the early morning hours on June 12th. Moises Sotelo, he woke up to go to work in Oregon, a place that he's called home for decades, but that morning wasn't business as usual. A car tailed him as he left his driveway, and according to an account from one of his coworkers, trucks surrounded him just outside of St. Michael's Episcopal Church, where he was detained by federal agents, and by the end of the day, he was in an ICE detention facility. This is happening. If this can happen to someone who works the vineyards in Oregon, then it can happen anywhere. And so talk to us about what's happening on the ground in Mississippi related to the mass deportation efforts. What are you seeing? What are you hearing?
Well, one, Mississippians are mad as hell. I'm going to give it to you straight up, and I hope you don't get censored for this. But We're mad as hell. In fact, just this past weekend, we had a massive rally and protest at the Capitol to really call to carpet the inhumanity that we're experiencing across this country, especially when it's relative to our immigrant brothers and sisters who are here in America, who are here just like many of us in pursuit of a more perfect union, right? No pun intended. But, you know, I think what we fundamentally believe is that all people are due process, right? We believe that every person in this country are due the rights that they are owed, and they should be respected, right? We're seeing an assault on dignity here in this country, and I think we have to continue to demand that accountability is executed across the board. You know, our elected officials are being allowed to hide in corners, and I think that is the atrocity, right? I think that many people get to live here and exist here in this country under a veil, but under that veil, you will see our connection to other borders, other places, other countries, and so we have to maintain the position that every person in this country, irrespective if they are born here or naturalized or here, just here in search of the American dream, deserves the dignity of due process. And so that is what we are calling for in our state, right? We've seen, and it's really quite sad. And this actually started in 2019 in Mississippi, where we had the ICE raids that popped up under Trump the first time. The first time he used it. So this is just a replay of things that he's already done before. And I think we were too quiet then. And now we're seeing the impacts of that. We've seen, but what I enjoy, you know, in seeing, I find the pride in, is folks pushing back. What we've seen in California from people holding the line, to me, has been a beautiful display of what it means to stand up for your rights in this country. And so, you know, Mississippi stands with the rest of the world. Some of us, most of us, believe that we are all due our fundamental rights in this country, and no one should be treated the way that folks are being treated, and not only in California, but in other places throughout this country. It is just an atrocity. It's un-American, and it's inhumane.
Well, and speaking of holding the line in places like California, the LA Times reporting that federal agents were denied entry to Dodger Stadium's parking lot, sparking a new outrage over Trump's sweeps. A line of unmarked white vans and SUVs at Dodger Stadium, they sparked a wave of speculation online about immigration enforcement at the stadium. This was just this past Thursday, or I'm sorry, just today. And in photos that were posted on social media, the vehicles appear to be staging near the downtown parking lot entrance to the stadium, which drew several dozen protesters in the area. And 5 agents, several covering their faces with gaiters and armed with pistols, they stood between the vehicles. That's a scary sight to see. And, you know, part of what I think is coming down the pike, I think we're going to see more folks have to draw that line.
Yeah.
And we all get to decide, how are we going to participate? And so I think for businesses, for schools and campuses that decide to allow ICE to use their property as a staging area, effectively enabling these mass deportations, I think, you know, the people who support them are going to react, you know, and we're seeing it in LA related to Dodger Stadium. I reported earlier this week on a Mater Dei High School in California, where their alumni are, you know, beside themselves, that the school is allowed ICE to be a staging area for their deportation efforts. What do you make of this? And you know, wearing your political strategist hat, your political consultant hat, what guidance would you offer to, you know, organizations out there that think that folks may not notice if they allow their property to be used as a staging ground for ICE?
Well, first of all, we're watching, and we are waiting to see how you're going to respond in this moment. That's critically important for the people on the ground. what I would say to you is to continue to resist. Remember that power concedes nothing without demand. For folks in the business community, know that the people are powerful, and there's nothing more powerful than the power of the purse. And so you need to step up, stand for what's right, and protect your people, protect the people that you have employed. See, that's my other issue. My other issue is that you see the government going after the workers, but you don't see them going after the employers, right? And so at what point are we really talking about accountability, right? So if you're saying that they're here and they're not supposed to be working, or whatever you want to call them, it's so much egregious, so many lies. I don't even know what to really point to in these scenarios, other than the fact that there has to be accountability across the board. This is not right. This is not right. Let me just say it point blank, plain and clean. It is not right. And if you really truly have values and you are rooted in those values, this is your moment. This is the moment for us to see those things be realized. And for people at home who patronize these businesses that are allowing this to happen, these institutions that are allowing this to happen, you need to take a stand against it, because that is the only way. That is the only way that we're going to win in this war. And this is a war. Let me be very clear about that. There is a war here happening in America. It is between the all-powerful and the people have to rise to be more powerful than the all-powerful. And so that would be my rounding thought on that.
Well, Kenya, I have to ask you, what is your what's your pitch to folks in our community who may say, well, I did what I needed to do on election day. I saw all this coming and voted accordingly, and find it very hard to summon compassion in this moment for folks who voted differently than they did, voted for Trump, and are now feeling the effects of that in terms of their pocketbook, in terms of the stability of their job, in terms of the stability of their family. What's your pitch to folks who are finding it very hard to summon compassion for those folks who may be the subject of these mass deportations or some of the other really ugly aspects of Trump's agenda?
Well, first and foremost, I used to be you, right? I know exactly what you're feeling. I know exactly how you felt. But let me just remind you, Election Day is over. Election Day 2024 is over. It's not coming back ever again. That day has ended. We are now facing many threats, continuous threats every single day. And so none of us should feel or exercise the liberties to sit this out. This is not just a fight against one group or the other. It's a fight against all of us, right? And an injustice against any of us is an injustice against all of us. And we have to realize that the other thing that's really important here is that when it comes to your door, it is too late. And so while there is work being happening, while people are mobilizing and taking all of that energy to put some pressure on these institutions, we can do more together. And so that's my clarion call to folks. This is my charge. I know exactly what you're feeling. I share that with you. I worked very hard in 2024 to make sure I could do everything I could within my job, outside my job, around the corner, to make sure people could exercise their right to vote, right? So that we could see democracy fully in action, and we fell short of that because there was so much confusion, so much misinformation, the abuse of emotions and feelings, like so many lies that were perpetuated through that election cycle. But now we're in a new moment. And so it requires new energy and a new perspective, because the work we do, we don't do it for ourselves. We do it for the future. And so if the future has any shot of making it and correcting where we have fallen short, it's going to require us stepping up in this moment right here to do what is necessary. Right? Not what is comfortable, not what you like, not what you feel you need to be doing. Do everything that you absolutely can and take them with you. Take your kids with you. Take your family members with you so they can see democracy in action and know that they still have power. That is what this moment is about. People who want to hoard all of the power want you to feel powerless, but you cannot give them that. And you cannot actualize your power sitting on the couch. You can't do it. So you got to get up. You got to put your boots on the ground, pop your fans to the polls. That's what I want you to do. But also, I want you to take this moment seriously. Don't think that there's nothing you can do. There's plenty you can do, and find people around you who are willing to get it done with you.
In our remaining minutes, Waikinya, I know that Southern Poverty Law Center does a lot of work focused on tracking vigilante groups, tracking, white supremacy violence across the country, particularly in the Southern United States. Are there any trends that you are seeing that our leaders, learners, and listeners should be aware of? We should always be vigilant, but we're seeing what feels at least like an uptick in political violence, given what just took place in Minnesota and what we've seen in recent years. What trends are you seeing that we should be aware of and really take seriously?
Well, one, the organizing is becoming more granular around these extremist groups, which means your organization needs to become more granular. You need to be mobilizing your friends and your family members, your neighbors, to make sure you're talking about real-time issues, because these cells are popping up everywhere. What we are seeing technology being used and weaponized in different types of ways now, particularly platforms like Telegram. A lot of extremist organizing is happening on that tool. And so be mindful. Make sure that your children aren't being radicalized in this moment as well. There's so much happening so fast. And so I would just encourage people to be vigilant in this. Pay attention to how people are responding when you're having certain conversations, and really hold the line. Call out when you see hate, when you see extremism, when you see bigotry, call it out. Because that's the most important thing that we can do right now. And for more tools and tips around that, more reports, we actually just released our Year in Hate report a couple of months ago. And so Nii-Quartelai, I'll drop those in here for folks too. But, just visit our website, go to SPLCenter.org, engage with our hate map, engage with our website to figure out all the different things that are happening in your specific area. We have an interactive map that shows you the hate cells in your area. And so that's a really helpful tool. It's been utilized in many different forums. And so we want to continue to make sure people have the information that they need to be the best defenders of democracy at home.
No, we really appreciate that. And next time you're on, we want to stretch out a little bit with some of those insights, because, what we saw on January 6th, for example, was not an isolated incident. There were years of planning that went into that. When we saw, folks attempt to kidnap, or at least develop a plan to kidnap Michigan Mayor Gretchen Whitmer. That was not a fluke. That wasn't something random, right? And so we want to make sure that we are doing our part to inform our leaders, learners, and listeners, and give folks information that they can trust so that they stay safe, they keep their families safe, their communities safe. That's what we're about here.
Yeah. We'll definitely do that. And I think, Nii-Quartelai, it's also worth pointing out that in last year, we documented over 1,300 hate and anti-government groups here in the state. And these are groups who are using political apparatuses, communication. Social media is being weaponized in a wholly completely different way. We've seen pop-up sales. We've seen a lot of littering happening. So where people are dropping leaflets to recruit for some of these extremist groups. And so, I think the thing that people can do when they see this type of stuff happen in their community, to please make sure they go and report it. They can report it on our website, but they most importantly should report it to their local law enforcement to let them know that there is some form of radicalization happening in their area, and they want to call attention to it so that they can put a stop to it. That's what I also want to leave folks with.
Our thanks to Waikinya Clanton for joining us, political strategist and Democratic advisor, also the Mississippi State Director for the Southern Poverty Law Center. She wears a lot of hats, beautiful hats, but a lot of hats. And again, for folks that want more information on the recent State of Hate report put out by the Southern Poverty Law Center, just go to SPLcenter.org. That's SPLcenter.org. It is the Year in Hate 2024 report. My apologies. The Year in Hate 2024 report. Thank you, Waikinya. We can't wait to have you back again soon.
Thank you, Dr. Nii-Quartelai. See you all.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580, The Quiet Part Out Loud, when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
JP Morgan Chase offers tips for the local business owners in 2025. Small business landscape is ever changing, and the Los Angeles market is no exception. A startup or legacy business, revisiting your mission statement and recalibrating offerings can renew opportunities for growth and innovations. Programs like Chase for Business Coaching for Impact gives entrepreneurs access to expert guidance, helping you streamline operations, strategize your growth, and navigate complex challenges. Businesses with a clear sense of purpose can navigate any challenge effectively, but also build stronger customer loyalty. Visit chase.com/coaching for impact for more information. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
Decision to extend the, delay in enforcing the TikTok ban.
Sure.
Can you talk about how the White House understands its constitutional authority in light of the Supreme Court's decision in January that said that the president had to enforce the ban?
Sure. Well, as all of you know, because the president put it out on his Truth Social today, he did sign an executive order to extend the TikTok ban for 90 days. So in the effort to make a deal, and the White House counsel and the Department of Justice have reviewed this executive order, and I can get it for you. I think it's on our website by now. If it's not, my team will now put it up immediately. And you can read the language in that executive order. And the White House counsel counsel's office and the Department of Justice strongly believe in the legal rationale for this executive order. They wouldn't have the president's pen hit it if they didn't. And the political reasoning for this, of course, is because the president made a promise to keep TikTok on. There are 100 million Americans who use this app. It's wildly popular. He also wants to protect Americans' data and privacy concerns on this app, and he believes we can do both things at the same time. So he's making an extension so we can get this deal done.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. That there was Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, who was responding to a question in the press briefing room today around the TikTok ban. The TikTok ban continues to be sort of the talk of the town, at least this town. The Free Press is reporting, their editors are reporting the TikTok ban is the law of the land, and it's time to enforce it. With all the headlines that are swirling, it's important to remind people that it's illegal, according to the 2024 law that bans the social media app from U.S. markets, unless the Chinese owner, ByteDance, sells it off to an American company. And it's illegal, according to the Supreme Court, which upheld the TikTok ban in January in a 9-0 decision. You see, the justices, according to the Free Press, unanimously found that Congress has determined the divestiture is necessary to address well-supported national security concerns regarding TikTok's data collection practices in relationship with a foreign adversary. The Free Press argues that in our republic, that means the chief executive, President Trump, in this case, has to enforce the ban. That's how our system works. Congress makes the laws. The court rules on the law's constitutionality, and the president follows the statute. But that's not what's happening. Look, I enjoy TikTok, scrolling through TikTok as much as you may enjoy scrolling through TikTok. But, the president's extension of time for TikTok to continue to operate in the United States, while it may give us more time to scroll through content on the app, it really represents another breakdown in how our democratic system works. What are we going to do about it? That's always the question. Better question, what's Congress going to do about it? So far, nothing. It's important that we are able to specify where these breakdowns in our system are happening. Some of them are grossly inconvenient. Some of them may be a little too convenient. What do you think? You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward in our next hour, we're continuing our celebration of Juneteenth. Plus, by popular demand, we'll be sharing my conversation with author Ariane Edmonds, talking about her new book that I think is a must-have for the summer. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. New York City is celebrating Juneteenth with events across the city.
This holiday is about having meaningful conversations about history.
Lincoln Center hosts a folklore performance, and Times Square features the free Broadway Celebrates Juneteenth concert. The CIAA basketball tournament will stay in Baltimore through 2029. Since 2022, it's brought